The year 2025 has finally arrived, so it is time for us movie fans to look forward to all the glorious cinema we are going to be witnessing this year. And well, that's exactly what I'll be doing here for you guys. I'm going to be breaking down my top 10 most anticipated movies for 2025, and they will be ranked in order from least excited to most excited, but those 10 are the ones I'm most looking forward to. As I do this, please, I would love to hear your top 10, top 3, top 5. The real shame sometimes about making these lists is movies get delayed or canceled or written off for tax purposes. And although I seem to jinx it sometimes, hopefully none of the movies I have here will end up disappearing from all of existence. But alright, before getting into the top 10, I do have a couple of honorable mentions that were just so close to being on my list. The two other Marvel movies we have this year, Captain America Brave New World and The Thunderbolts, I'm looking forward to them, still an MCU fan. I agree maybe they're not in their heyday anymore, but I am actually really rooting for Sam Wilson and hopefully his movie's good. But I can't lie, all the reports we've been hearing with the behind the scene issues of this movie did not give me a lot of faith. Thunderbolts probably will turn out being the better film. The most recent trailer they put out actually got me excited, but just didn't make it on the list. Believe it or not, I'm really looking forward to Wicked Part 2, or what they have it called now, Wicked for Good. Really had no expectation for that first movie, ended up really surprising me, and then the little tidbits I've heard for what happens in the second part, I actually really want to see that movie now. Looney Tunes, The Day the Earth Blew Up. It's a freaking Looney Tunes movie. Big Looney Tunes fan here. So you know I'm going to be popping in the theater to see it. I think the only reason it didn't end up making on my list is because, I have a bias towards Bugs Bunny and some live action zaniness thrown in there. But what I've seen so far from the trailers and the look of the movie, it's bringing me back to the old days of when I would watch Looney Tunes as a kid. Saw 11, I was really hoping I could slap on this list, but we've been hearing that movie might not even get released this year. There's been other behind the scene issues with the Saw world, and so I just didn't want to jinx it, but hey, I'm still looking forward to it, and hopefully that movie gets made this year. Mortal Kombat 2, I didn't think the first one was all that amazing, but I didn't hate it as much as other people, so I'm still looking forward to what they do with the second movie. Jurassic World Rebirth, it seems like they're really going back to their roots and maybe horrifying it with some action elements, but that last movie, Jurassic World Dominion, just let me down so much, and I felt like they just led up to nothing with that series, and now they're forced to regain the audience that they disappointed. And you know what? Laugh at me, but I'm gonna put the Minecraft movie, not really because I'm a Minecraft fan or I thought the trailers were all that awesome, but because I still have faith in director Jared Hess, who brought me Napoleon Dynamite and Nacho Libre, and those two movies will let me know this film will be meme central and I'll probably enjoy it. And probably the one movie that would have ended up really high on my list if there was already a trailer and I could get a feel of this movie, the Michael Jackson biopic titled Michael. Big Michael Jackson fan since I was a little kid, still really enjoy his music, and man, there is a lot of pressure to make this movie right. This was one of the biggest celebrities in the world, left a giant impact on the industry. My only fears with this movie is they're going to sugarcoat a lot of the ups and downs of his life. Also, although it's great that they got a person related to Michael Jackson to play him, that'll really help with the look of Michael. Are they a good actor, though? Can they portray Michael on screen? I don't know. I'm really looking forward to this movie, but since I haven't seen anything of it yet, some of the things I'm hesitant with are overtaking it. But all right, those are some of my honorable mentions. Let's get into the top 10. Starting off number 10, Megan 2.0. Yeah, that's right. Your boy who enjoys killer doll movies is excited for a killer doll movie. Although I think it sucks that this franchise is now PG-13, there is something interesting that I think they're doing with this series and now kind of turning Megan into the good guy. The trailer is set to be here any week now, and the things I've heard of what happens in this movie sound bonkers. We're gonna get a competing robot doll named Amelia fighting Megan. I am curious if it's gonna lean more action comedy and basically do away with all the horror elements. I'd like it to still push the boundary for PG-13, but it's really the fact that Megan is embracing the living doll thing, and that's just always a genre of movies I've enjoyed. Number 9 on my list, Karate Kid Legends. This movie was gonna end up on the honorable mentions list if it was not for that awesome trailer they put out a couple of weeks ago. I knew I was gonna be excited for Karate Kid Legends because I'm a big Karate Kid fan. I like the original 4 movies. The remake with Jaden Smith I thought was also super well done. Cobra Kai I've been really enjoying, and when I heard, they got Ralph Macchio and Jackie Chan would be in it, as exciting as that sounded, it did kind of scream cash grab, like they knew that would just be the thing to sell tickets, and it would be a kind of a half-baked together idea for the film. But that trailer, it was a lot more serious than I expected. Jackie Chan seems to be a lot more involved in the movie. He's even gonna fight at some point along with Ralph Macchio Danielson. No, it feels like they're actually putting respect into this franchise and not just treating it like a cash grab. Hopefully it does end up delivering though. Number 8 on the list, another movie that probably would have ended up on the honorable mentions if it were not for a couple of details that got revealed recently. Predator Badlands. I think Disney is still kicking themselves for releasing Prey on Hulu and not realizing the amount of fans there are for Predator and Alien, because they had a pretty successful run with Alien Romulus that just went to theaters, and now they're trying to make up for it with Predator Badlands. Now, a lot of the details about this movie were kind of up in the air, wish-washy. All we really knew is that it was going to involve two sisters entering the world for the first time, going up against a predator. And that right there didn't really excite me. It made me go, okay, I guess that's fine. It was then the new added detail that Predator Badlands would actually be told from the perspective of the predator. And that right there is the simple little twist we needed to keep things fresh in a franchise that's already had several movies. We always complain that this alien being is known for hunting different creatures across the galaxy, but it ends up dying to a lot of people on Earth. Now setting him up as the main character, well, you gotta have him win, but we're gonna see the struggle of what it takes for him to win. So I think that's awesome, and plus Dan Trachtenberg is coming back, and I liked a lot of the action and things he did with the Predator and Prey, so this should be good. Number 7 on my most anticipated list, Final Destination Bloodlines, another movie where we're set to get the trailer any day now, and as a horror fan, one of my favorite franchises is the Final Destination series. There's really only one movie in that entire franchise that I kind of just dislike, but the rest of the series I just love. This idea that death is coming after you and you die in these horrific accidents. Clues about maybe how to avoid your death, skip the pattern, try to cheat it. Love all of that, and Final Destination Bloodlines promises to mix up the formula, keep things moving. We've heard rumors and rumblings that it could deal with, a family lineage, that maybe there's a whole bloodline of people that weren't supposed to exist, and now death is coming after that family. We still don't know exactly what the accident will be. We've heard a restaurant, a high-rise building, but a lot of that mystery is so fun for me, and this will also be one of the last performances of Tony Todd, who, although would have little screen time in a lot of these movies, his impact in the films were felt. So I'm super excited to see how else Final Destination plans to traumatize us with everyday situations that turn deadly. Number 6 on my list, Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning. Dude, we getting a new Mission Impossible movie. We talk about how this franchise just gets better and better as it goes along. I will admit that last entry, Dead Reckoning, feels like maybe we hit our threshold, that maybe we've gone as good as we can with this series, and now we are set to be hitting the final film. Whether that ends up being the case, we'll see or not, but Tom Cruise just delivers every time with these movies. The suspense, the action set pieces, the twists and turns. I even love this new villain threat that they've introduced, an AI that can predict a lot of people's next moves. Might be cliche in a world where AI is a growing threat, but I thought Mission Impossible had a really refreshing angle on it, and I'm curious to see that go a step further. The funny thing also with this series is we know the movies will be good, but if it's just good, that is actually a disappointment in the Mission Impossible franchise, because we usually expect excellency. How many franchises can you say that about, Number 5 on my list, Sinners. All I needed to know is Ryan Coogler's next movie, and you had me hooked, but then you add on the fact that it's a vampire story, horror film, and we get 2 Michael B. Jordans? Alrighty then, it's getting up on the list pretty high. And that's also saying a lot, because I'm someone who just does not even care about vampire stories anymore. They're so oversaturated. I feel like we've done every little thing we can in that series, but I'm still kind of curious to see what someone like Ryan Coogler will do. Number 4 on my list? Oh, that 4 is your clue, because it's the Fantastic Four. It is so funny to me that we finally have the Fantastic Four owned by Marvel once again, and this will be their entry into the MCU. And what do they decide to do? Set them in a separate Earth outside of the MCU. Oh, Kevin Feige, you bloody genius. But man, we have had so many Fantastic Four adaptations that they have just become mainstay players in a lot of people's minds. I love the cast that they've put together, this idea of it set in a retro futuristic timeline. They're looked at as celebrities in this world. This is kind of like the first MCU movie in a long time that I'm just excited for, with without the attachment of nostalgia bit. You know, you've had Deadpool and Wolverine, you had Spider-Man No Way Home. There was a lot of nostalgic things in that movie that had me over the moon excited, but just the brand itself, Fantastic Four, that's got me looking forward to what the MCU can do, and they better nail it. You can't mess up the Fantastic Four, especially when it's finally in the MCU. Number 3 on my list, Frankenstein. Guillermo del Toro is going to be directing a Frankenstein movie for Netflix. We only have this one first look photo, and that is all I needed because I know they are going all out. Body parts, big set pieces. Oh, it's still sad Andrew Garfield didn't turn out to be the monster for this movie. Jacob Elordi got that role when Andrew Garfield had to drop out due to other scheduling conflicts. But at the end of the day, the thing that makes me excited is not really even the cast. It's the fact that Guillermo del Toro is making a movie about one of his most beloved characters of all time, Frankenstein. He already made a pretty perfect Creature from the Black Lagoon movie in The Shape of Water. His take on Pinocchio was dark and pretty heartbreaking. I think he's going to do amazing things with this interpretation of Frankenstein. And that's just kind of cool that this year has been the year of these Universal monsters kind of coming back to life, whether attached to Universal or not. You got vampires with Sinners, you got Frankenstein here, and in the month of January, we are getting Lee Winnell's Wolfman. Sometimes a true classic, never goes out of style, and I know Guillermo del Toro is going to deliver with this. All I ask is Netflix, please let there be a couple of movie theater screenings because I would love to see this in the big screen. All right, but getting on to the top 2. What are they going to be? Number 2. Avatar 3. Oh, something funny happened to me when I went to go see Avatar: The Way of Water, and that is that I was converted into an Avatar fan. For the longest time, I was a semi-Avatar hater. Not that I really disliked the first movie, but I never really got all that hype. I thought it was overrated. It's like, okay, cool, big blue people, expensive movie. Good for you, James Cameron. Oh my goodness, Avatar 2 is a masterpiece. The vision became clear for what he was trying to set out, and the characters he had set up with the new elements introduced into the world. Wow, I am really looking forward to these next couple of movies and where they decide to take things. All we really know is that in Avatar 3, we are going to be meeting a tribe of fire people, exploring new parts of Pandora, and Jake Sully and his family trying to earn their trust, or maybe not even, just go up against them. These Avatar movies are soon becoming a monumental event within our movie culture. I'm glad I stopped being a hater and started getting on board, so I can't wait to see what happens in this film. But number 1 on the list isn't any surprise. I think everyone knew this would be my number 1 movie. James Gunn's Superman. I just get giddy and excited now, knowing we are finally in the year that we are going to be getting a new Superman movie. It has been way too long, and I'm glad it's not a Superman movie that's attached as a half-made Justice League film or a team-up movie. No, it's going to be fully just Superman. Of course, there's a lot of doubt, and I'm still hesitant on a couple of elements that James Gunn is throwing in there, but at the end of the day, the man has not given me a bad movie. I should expect nothing but the best from what he has, and if this goes well, it'll just be nice to see a world where Superman is looked at as a bright, hopeful figure again, and not really a character that's boring or overlooked. I can't even begin to talk about the immense amount of pressure with this movie, because if it fails, James Gunn has already talked about, doesn't look like we'll be making more DC movies after that. But when I sat down and asked myself if there was really only one movie I could watch this year, it would be Superman. But those are just my most anticipated movies of 2025. I really want to hear from you guys. What makes it on your list? What do you think shouldn't have made it on my list? I'm curious about that. Anything and everything, be sure and like, subscribe, follow me on Twitter at 3C Films or on TikTok at 3C Films. But as always, I'm Chris. Take care.